Now, when we're talking about digital interfaces, digital connections for video, we especially can't overlook HDMI. HDMI stands for High Definition Multimedia Interface. We have an HDMI cable here. HDMI not only provides digital video, but also digital audio. That's something that's very important because it allows us, in the case where we have a computer or a DVD player or a laptop, that we want to connect to a monitor or a large screen TV that has the HDMI output and input on both the devices. We don't have to have that additional audio cables. We can just use the HDMI cable. It's being found more and more commonly on laptops and, again, like large screen TVs, because it makes that connection easier, as well as we'll see them on Blu-ray players, DVDs, and some even set-top boxes for, say, satellite television or cable. Sometimes we do need to convert our HDMI to other types of cables. This is going to be an HDMI to DVI connector. We see we have our HDMI on one end going to our DVI, and this is going to be just a DVI-I. We don't have any analog going through our HDMI, so it doesn't have our 4 additional pins for analog. This is just DVI-I. If we do need to transpose that digital into analog, we may need to get a larger conversion box, such as the one shown here. This not only takes the HDMI, but it also requires additional power to plug into it. And then our output, after it's transposed the digital to analog, would be our VGA as well as separate sound, because our VGA can't carry video and audio, it can only carry video, so we have additional output analog sound. Our most recent version of standard HDMI is going to be our 1.3B, and it supports up to 1080p resolution. In addition to just our standard HDMI type ports that we see, we have a couple different port types. We have type A through type D. Now, when we're talking about type A, this is going to be our standard HDMI type cable. This is going to be 19 pins, and it's going to be optimally our 1.3B, so that we can display that at 1080p. The cable that we showed earlier was actually our 19-pin type A cable. Our type B cable is going to be a 29-pin configuration. We're going to display up to 3840 by 2400. Our type C connector is a 19-pin, but it's actually smaller than our type A. This is known as our mini HDMI. And then our type D is going to be, again, a 19-pin connector, also known as our micro HDMI. And our micro HDMI is going to be about the size of, say, a micro USB that we use to charge our phone. You may find phones now that actually have micro HDMI ports on them to have that display going. We have a mini HDMI to VGA converter here. So we can see a bit of our difference between our sizes of our standard type A HDMI and our mini type C HDMI. And then our type D macro HDMI would be even smaller than this one, and it would be about the size, again, of a micro USB. This comes in handy especially when we're picking the right type of cable for the right type of job, or when we're making sure that we have correct conversions. Again, always remember that HDMI is going to be digital video and audio, so if you need to transpose that over so that you can split the video from the audio, you may need to get a converter, say, to an analog converter, or a converter that allows you to split that out into, say, a DVI and separate audio.